Get Rich Education is brought to you by Mid-South Homebuyers, top-notch turnkey property in Memphis, Tennessee.
Welcome to Get Rich Education with Keith Weinhold, giving you information and ideas on the investment that has turned more ordinary people into millionaires and billionaires than anything else, and can provide you with more wealth and happiness than you ever thought possible. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, and educator, Keith Weinhold.
Welcome to Get Rich Education, episode 50. I'm your host, Keith Weinhold. Is that a milestone? 50? That's kind of a milestone. Hey, thanks for being here. We have an abundant way of looking at wealth, and I'm going to talk more about just what that means today. You're looking for financial freedom, and one way to think about your future might be your goal of owning enough rental units so that you have enough passive income in order to get that freedom that you desire. Now, $200 of passive cash flow per unit, okay, $200 per rental door, that's a pretty good all-around average number for what you might expect over the several markets that you choose to invest in, okay? $200. So then if your goal is $20,000 of passive monthly income, well, then you need 100 rental doors in order to achieve that, okay? That's $240K per year passively for you, all right? But if $10,000 of monthly passive income is enough for you, then your goal is to have 50 rental doors in order to be financially free so that you never have to work for anyone again. That's $120K per year passively for you, okay? Now, if $10K of monthly passive income is enough for you, and you happen to get $250 of cash flow per rental door, which is quite possible, well, now you only need 40 rental units, okay? You might just need 40 rental units at $250 cash flow to get $10K per month, if that's financial freedom for you, okay? I mean, 40 rental units, that could take the form of 20 single-family homes and 5 fourplexes right there. That's your 40 doors. Done. Out of the rat race. And at the same time, your investment is inflation protected, tax advantaged, and the asset that your income stream secures is hopefully appreciating in value, okay, historically over the long term anyway, such that anything less than a 25% total rate of return to you annually is disappointing. And I've talked about that before here at Get Rich Education. But you know what? All that stuff I've just mentioned there, I contend that that is part of your goal. It is not your dream, okay? Now, obtaining a worthy goal is part of reaching your dream. You might have several goals on the way there, okay? I've said before that what makes for a worthy goal is that if you don't even know the steps that it takes to get there, okay? If you don't know how to get your 40 doors, 50 doors, or 100 doors, whatever that number is for you, to reach financial freedom, well, if you don't know how, that might be just perfect. Because if you already know how to get there, then how is that a worthy goal? If you already know the steps to reach it, well, then where's your room for growth? There isn't any. That's why it's not a worthy goal. So one criterion of a worthy goal is actually that you don't even know the steps that it takes to get there, okay? But, you know, you do need to set a goal where your subconscious can take it in, where your mind can comprehend it, even if you don't quite know how to get that number of doors from here, okay? But a goal is not a daydream, okay? Owning 100 doors is not your dream. That's just the vehicle that you have selected to obtain your dream, okay? 100 doors, that is your delivery conduit, okay? The dream is the end. Now, keep in check the fact that money is not the master here, okay? Because ultimately, you don't want more real estate. You don't even want more cash flow. Actually, you don't even want the extra time in your life that cash flow can buy you. Yeah, it isn't about the time, although we're now getting closer to what you want with this time that's opened up. It's about you opening up the time such that you do those chosen things that fulfill you, whatever that is for you, and fill it with that peace, joy, love, freedom, and happiness that you ultimately want in life. That's your dream. All right, so a goal is a vehicle to go get somewhere, and a daydream, that's a destination. And, I think that most people understand that don't quit your daydream is a play on the old saying, don't quit your day job. Well, we're the show that helps you quit your day job and live your daydream. And, here's an example, okay? You know what my daydream is? A lot of this has to do with giving to my wife. I just want to give you an example here, okay? My wife and I, we want to live in a home in either Kona or Kihei, okay? Kona is on Hawaii's Big Island and Kihei is on Maui, all right? My wife and I love those two places. The home will have a view of the water. It's going to have easy walking access to the beach and a really expansive yard with fruit trees in the yard, okay? And, we've gotten this detailed. The 5 fruit tree varieties are mango, papaya, avocado, lemon, and banana trees. Yes, my wife and I have this written down. It's that specific. My wife grew up in the Philippines with those trees in her yard. She grew up living a very hard life, a very poor life. It makes me cry when I hear her story. And she's giving me a great life. She's the kindest person I've ever known. And I want to provide those things for her. And don't get me wrong, that's something I would want myself too. All right, but on the way there, during my destination, I also want to excel at living better and giving better to others. I mean, part of that dream is that I turn more nobodies into somebodies than anybody with Get Rich Education. Okay, so I'm not delaying all gratification. I'm living life the best way I know how to in the meantime. Now your daydream can change over time, of course. For example, I've heard that Ecuador is great for expats, and I have not been in Ecuador yet. Maybe over time things will change, and I'd rather live in Phoenix or in Philadelphia to be closer to my parents. I mean, leave room for change in life, sure, but have both concrete goals and a concrete daydream now. You know why? You know why I get that specific and why I want you to have a specific daydream? All right, well, here's what happens if you don't have concrete dreams, okay? When the going gets tough and you're feeling scarce or fearful, which does happen from time to time, or you've learned that you can't close on a property that you've identified in a 1031 exchange, or you just have some situation where you're tempted to contract and go back to thinking small, well, you know what? What's going to drive you to push ahead and expand when you're going through that adversity, So if your dream is just simply something nebulous like, oh, I want to move into a bigger home someday, or, oh, I guess I want to travel the world someday, I don't really know where. That's not specific enough, okay? That's not a dream. All right, when the going gets tough and you're tempted to think small or stop moving ahead, well, then what about when your spouse, your life partner, reminds you, well, what happened to our home in Kona within walking distance to the beach and the papaya trees like where I grew up in the Philippines? We're going to let that die? No, we're not. We've got to move ahead. So see, that's specific. That hits home. That drives you to expand. I mean, that makes you confront your fear. You know the best way to get closer to your dream? It's by confronting your fear. That's the best way to get closer to your dream. So if your dream isn't specific, then pretty soon, anything will do. Your dream just drifts around, and soon you're settling for less like most other people, and they never get what they want. One way to stay focused on what is getting you closer to your concrete dream is, again, here's how you're going to do it. It's getting around the right people. Get around them. You can ask yourself, who do I know that's aspirational? If you only get together with people that are easy to hang out with, or you get together with people just for fun, and don't get me wrong, I have some friends like this, okay? But if you're only getting around that type of person, you won't grow. And hey, I sure don't spend every second of my life as focused and productive, okay? I have one friend that wants to spend 15 minutes talking about why a team lost a baseball game, okay? There's times where I watch American Ninja Warrior or America's Got Talent on TV for an hour or two with my wife at times. It's entertaining. There's a place for it. But the difference is that I don't do that when I know I'm supposed to be doing something else. Okay, so spend more of your time around the right people. Your fastest route to your dream is to be close to people that are fulfilling theirs. All right. So what are some indicators? How do you know if you're getting around the right people? I'd say one way to know if you're hanging out with the right people that are going to stretch your context and grow your thoughts, is if they're those types of people that really value their time. Grow a network of people where their future is bigger than their past. Okay, if you can say that about a person, that person's future is bigger than their past. You can just kind of tell by talking to them. That's a really good indicator. And you know what? That's not an age thing either, okay? A 70-year-old entrepreneurial coach like Dan Sullivan, he's someone that when you hear him talk about his future, that you really believe that his future is bigger than his past at age 70. That's what you want. Abundance mentality, okay? Now, what are some signs that there's someone that you might want to avoid on the way to your daydream? Well, that's a person that thinks that the world is a scarce place. Okay, you want to avoid a person that's more into excuses and less into reasons, okay? That person that is constantly trying to justify doing less with less, even if they know that they're lying to themselves, okay? Those people that say things like, I don't need another rental unit. I don't need an RV, even though I know our kids would go camping with us if we had one, okay? How far are they going to go? This I don't need it, that stifles ambition, that's scarce. I don't really need a home with an extra bedroom, even though I know it would give us some extra storage, an extra closet, and a place for guests to stay, I don't need to travel across the country to visit my sister. Beware of those that are constantly saying, I don't need it. How far is it going to go? Do you really need a bath rug for your bare feet when you step out of the shower? No, it's just nice to have it, but you don't really need it either, right? Do you really need a toilet seat, or can you just hover? Geez, the I don't need it crowd. That mentality just stifles dreams. It's damaging. That's living below one's means rather than expanding one's means. That's not doing what you should, which is doing the right thing and then doing things right. Those people aren't doing more with less. They're doing less with less, or even less with more. What a waste. You live in a land of abundance. We talk about two kinds of leverage on this show, probably at least two, financial leverage and relationship leverage. Leverage is doing more with less. It's one of my favorite financial concepts. Just like the Archimedes quote, the ancient Greek mathematician, give me a place to stand with a lever and I will move the world. Well, if you're standing there with the wrong people, you won't find the lever because you don't even know that it's there. and no one's going to point it out to you. But, keep production ahead of consumption in your life. Find that leverage, get that cash flowing real estate first, and then with that monthly cash flow, which is that income that you don't have to work for, use part of it to get liquid faster so that you can buy more cash flowing assets, and use the other part of it to buy those life enhancing items that you don't necessarily need. I've talked a lot about getting around the right people. On our events page at GetRichEducation.com, I've got events that I'm going to there that you can join in on with me where I get around the right people. Again, you don't have a money problem. You have an idea problem if you're not financially free yet. And getting around the right people is like an idea incubator. You want to be around people that are in thrive mode, not survive mode, okay? And you don't have to wait until you're an old person to start realizing your dream. I don't want you to delay gratification for too long, because time spent suboptimally anytime in your life timeline, that's time that you're never going to recoup, okay? All right, I've got a question for you to ask yourself, okay? And this is really a rich dad concept. Okay, you've got some people out there that resent the wealthy, so come on now. All right, let me ask you, would you rather be happy or would you rather be rich? You want to be happy or do you want to be rich? Well, why not be both? That's what the abundant answer is, okay? And all right, I've got another question for you here, okay? Would you rather live well now at this period in your life, or would you rather live well late in life? Would you rather live well now or later? What do you think? Well, again, the answer is both, now and later, okay? Yes, I know you got that second one, right? See, you're catching on. That's abundant thought. And you've got dozens of episodes prior to this one on how to specifically act on that expansionary thought, all right? Now, one key question that you need to ask about any investment to get toward your daydream, probably the most important question, it's one that most everyday people, they don't even ask themselves about their investment because they're investing in some lame 401k or an IRA, all right? That important question to ask yourself, all right, it's not about tax deferral. It's probably really not even about asset protection, as important as that is, or it's really not even about rate of return in a sense, okay? That question that you need to ask about an investment is, how much does my investment pay me every month or every year while I own it? Okay, when you receive income now that you don't have to work for, that right there, that's the spark. That's the catalyst to life change. All right, I'm basically going to ask you a question, all right? One you probably wouldn't expect me to ask. Here it is. Why would you invest for your future? Yeah, I actually said that. All right, let me clarify. If someone says, I invest for the long-term future, period, I don't agree with that statement at all. If you're only investing for the future, you are stifling your daydream. You're quitting your daydream early. Why would you invest only for the long-term future, which is what an employer retirement plan does, when instead you could simultaneously invest in a vehicle like cash flowing real estate, which leverages an asset for the long-term appreciation. And in the meantime, it acts as an inflation hedge. It gives you tax benefits, which typically exceed that of a mere 401k and IRA tax deferral. And most importantly, it pays you now. It pays you in the short-term future, the intermediate-term future, and the long-term future. That's abundant. That way you're enhancing your better lifestyle now and securing your future. Again, both. A typical retirement plan does not do that, okay? Now, if you get a dollar per dollar match up to a certain amount in your retirement plan, all right, you may want to contribute up to that amount, but most don't get that, okay? So why are you still contributing? Okay? You might not only want to consider stopping your contribution, but tearing that whole thing down. We had Rich Dad advisor Tom Wheelwright come onto the show here earlier this year and tell us that 401ks are for people that truly don't care about wealth building. They're for people that want to keep their head in the sand. That's exactly what he said, and he's right. Look, if you're a new listener, this is paradigm shifting for you. I mean, look, if you're, say, age 31 and you're contributing to a retirement plan at work, think about what you're doing. You're giving away part of your opportunity in your relative youth as you contribute to that plan. You're selling part of your 31-year-old self and exchanging it for your 71-year-old self, because that's when you might be using that dollar again. And right now, you're trading your time for dollars. You're selling your time for money as a 31-year-old. Tax deferral? I mean, who cares? You know what you've just committed? Life deferral. You're going to accept tax deferral and in exchange defer life for it? Instead, you've got a vehicle where you can live well at both 31 and 71. When you invest, you should be paid back regularly, usually monthly, for the rest of your life. In youth, in old age, and everywhere in between. I mean, what opportunity cost are you paying with this choice of life deferral? I mean, if you're a new listener here, rather than save, you could invest in something real, something like real estate that's dynamic, multidimensional, and where anything less than a 25% total rate of return each year is disappointing. When people think about their daydream, you know, a lot of times they think out into the distant future and they contemplate how many years they're going to have in their life. Well, what about thinking about how much life you will have in your years? People work and save. People work and save. That's why they're poor. Yeah, people work and save. That's why they're poor. You know, no one remembers you for the quantity of your work either. No one remembers you for the quantity of your work. I mean, instead of work and save, people could learn and invest. I mean, go and do. That's a lot better than wait and see. And hey, I mean, you know, that doesn't mean that people are dumb for investing in 401ks, 403bs, and IRAs. I mean, often they don't know any better. They haven't thought of it in a different way. I mean, in my early years of working for an employer, I used to contribute to a plan like that until I realized what I was doing. So if you're a new listener, is that your reality? To think that prudent investing is substantial participation in an employer-sponsored retirement plan just because it's easy? You know, where you're selling big pieces of your todays in exchange for tomorrows that, frankly, aren't even guaranteed. You will never be younger, healthier, or more alive than you are right now. I mean, my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. The power of tax deferral? There's zero cash flow. There's zero income there. Just keep thinking about the opportunity cost of life deferral. I mean, that's a shame. That's an awful reality. You could be investing in your today without diminishing your tomorrow. That's reality. Your reality check just bounced. You're listening to Get Rich Education. Cash flow real estate investors nationwide and worldwide, this is Get Rich Education's Keith Weinhold. Forbes has rated Memphis, Tennessee as the #1 cash flowing market in the world. Our good friends at Mid-South Homebuyers have been Memphis's premier turnkey real estate provider for 14 years with a stellar reputation and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. Owner Terry Kerr was born and raised in Memphis. Yeah, he knows the market and has renovated and sold over 1,000 houses in the Memphis area. Find out what their many repeat buyers already know. Their houses are completely renovated, even come with a 1-year builder's warranty and a lifelong rental guarantee. They're a perfect fit for the first-time out-of-state investor or the seasoned investor diversifying their portfolio. Mid-South Homebuyers' friendly staff makes investing easy. Learn more at midsouthhomebuyers.com or give them a call at 901-217-HOME.
Hi, this is Russell Gray, co-host of the Real Estate Guys radio show, and you're listening to Get Rich Education with Keith Weinhold. Don't quit your daydream.
Welcome back to Get Rich Education. Hey, if any time in the last few weeks you've gone to GetRichEducation.com and clicked the events page, you know that International Coffee Farm's fantastic, exotic Panama Coffee Farm Tour details are all there. We featured International Coffee Farm's founder, David Sewell, on the show back in April, and a number of you listeners took advantage of that investment where for just $12,000 per half-acre parcel, you bought cash-flowing, turnkey, managed coffee farm parcels there in the beautiful, verdant, green landscape of Boquete, Panama. And if you bought, you're going to get the benefit of annual cash flow returns from the crop yields. It didn't matter what your credit score was or what your debts are when you buy. You smartly own a hard asset completely uncorrelated with the U.S. housing market, and you've been helping poor Panamanian coffee farm laborers, and you're getting a projected 13 to 15% annual total rate of return. And you've been receiving International Coffee Farm's friendly, regular email updates about your coffee investment. I love reading those and looking at the photos of the farms and the landscapes. So yes, the Coffee Farm Tour is coming up. It's November 13th to 15th in Boquete, Panama. They are the dates ripe for visiting your parcels, which is just 7 weeks from today. So you can get your travel plans together right after the show here. If you did not buy cash-flowing coffee farm parcels, you know what? You are still invited to come on the tour just the same to learn if it might be for you. And that tour is free. And you're going to meet me on the tour too, as I've owned coffee farm parcels there since last year. My terrific wife is going to be on the tour with me. From Panama City, what you do is you just make a short flight over to David City in western Panama. And then from the David City Airport, International Coffee Farms personally picks you up there from the David City Airport for the 40-minute shuttle ride to the panoramic Boquete area there in the high country. There's no charge for that either, so you don't even need to get a rental car. And that is a brand new airport in David City. It's a brand new 4-lane highway between David City and the coffee highlands in Boquete. You're really going to feel like you're in the path of progress there. Yes, there is no charge for the tour, okay? The first day, Friday evening, that kicks off with a wine and cheese open house at International Coffee Farm's offices. That's followed by a come-as-you-are buffet and a reception later. Those are all provided for free from International Coffee Farms. Okay, again, that's free whether you're currently an investor or not. Now, the flights and the hotel are on you, of course, but, you know, the Coffee Farm Tour and those other amenities mentioned are free. Saturday is going to be a full day visiting the coffee farms and a full day opportunity to personally learn about the subtle nuances of growing and preparing specialty coffee from the field to the mill. And it is going to be a great introduction to a fascinating industry in conjunction with real estate that you own right there. And then on Sunday, the host is going to take care of your breakfast again as you have a chance to learn more about coffee farm investing on that day. And, you know, why not make a vacation out of visiting your cash-flowing coffee farm parcels? Right there in the Boquete area, you've got zip lining, whitewater rafting, rock climbing, bird watching, hiking, do some chill souvenir shopping. And from there, too, you've got a relatively short drive to a tropical beach. I mean, man, some choices are just easy. So again, get all the details for that tour at the link on our events page at getricheducation.com. Here's the thing. You might not know this yet. If you did buy coffee farm parcels after listening to that feature on episode 28 of GRE, you are awfully happy today. You bought parcels for just $12,000. And you know what? If you want to buy a parcel today, the sale price is now $18,000. Yes, people are now paying $18K. That's what the market will bear. So if you bought at $12K each, go ahead and update your personal net worth worksheet. That's an $18,000 parcel now for every parcel you bought, okay? Yes, so there's a 50% rate of return in just a few months' time, okay? If you still want parcels, well, the generous discount provided to our listeners, provided back in episode 28, is gone, but send an email to coffee@getricheducation.com, and you can still get some more information, and I'll see what can be done, but the $12K is not coming back, okay? And this is kind of funny, okay? I mean, my gosh, in a sense, this is a really sexy investment, all right? Which is not a reason alone to invest in Panama Coffee Farm parcels, but that's just what it is. To own producing coffee crop land yourself, where you own the actual land in Central America, and it's turnkey professionally managed, including an agronomist on staff. But, isn't it kind of funny to refer to the income-producing farming portion of your portfolio as sexy? I mean, one doesn't really correlate the word farming with sexy, but, that's kind of what it is. I mean, boy, especially compared to when I think about some of the holdings in my real estate portfolio, like compared to the old boiler room in the basement of my 40-year-old Class C multifamily apartment building I've got going on in Eagle River, Alaska. Okay. I don't know. Maybe that property sounds exotic to somebody. While you're there in Panama, after the coffee farm tour that my wife and I attend, I'm probably going to do a hike in that area when I trek to the top of nearby Volcan Baru. It's an 11,000-foot peak that is Panama's highest point. And, if I meet you there and you're hanging around for a few days after the tour, I might just ask you to come with me to trek to the top. It's just a day hike, but my wife won't do it with me. From the summit of Volcan Baru, it's one of the very few places on Earth where, if you're lucky and it's a clear day, from that singular point, you can look down and see the Pacific Ocean on one side, and without moving your feet, you can look over onto the other side and see the Caribbean Sea amidst those drifting clouds there in the Central American high country. I mean, and then imagine from there, if you're able to look down across the sweeping panorama thousands of feet below onto your coffee farm parcels, you own part of Central America. I mean, what a totally exhilarating thing to do. And, now that I even mentioned such a trek, I probably need to tell you, have a doctor evaluate your fitness, travel at your own risk, listen to the disclaimer at the end of the show, okay? And this trek has nothing to do with international coffee farms, okay? You know what? I know what else you might be thinking, okay? Like what I just said there, you're thinking that's kind of out of the box for an investing show host to mention there, like trekking with another investor tour goer. But you know what? This just isn't some traditional investing show whose idea of successful investing is deferring your life and deferring your income when you're young until later, just so you can build a stream of modest income by the time you're 70 so that you can start living on Swanson frozen chicken dinners and pot pies. Get Rich Education discusses investments that pay you a stream of income both now while you're younger and later when you're older. So invest for the present, do things now, and do them in the long term, okay? Have extraordinary experiences like I'm describing all throughout your life, okay? They aren't creating any more time. I could own substantially more cash flowing real estate if I didn't live well, give well, or have great experiences, but what would be the point of that? A literate mind knows only the boundaries imposed upon itself, okay? It kind of comes down to what, another mention here for the entrepreneurial coach Dan Sullivan in what he calls the 4 C's, okay? And whether that comes down to buying a turnkey property in Memphis or in Kansas City or blowing it open and buying an owner-occupied fourplex as your first home, it comes down to the 4 C's, okay? Commitment, courage, capability, and what follows those is confidence, okay? So commitment, the first C, okay? First, you kind of have to take that leap of faith and really commit to what you want to achieve before you have every T crossed and every I dotted, okay? And yeah, that can be a little bit scary, but after you've educated yourself, commit. The second one's courage. And courage, that's a word that you really don't even hear anymore these days. People admire courage in others, but, they oftentimes don't like the experience themselves. You've got to commit yourself without having any proof that what you're going to do is going to pay off, and that takes courage. The third C is capability. Once you've committed, once you've showed courage, you start to gain a capability. Wasn't it the combination of making a commitment and going through a period of requiring a lot of courage that created both the new capability and the 4th C, confidence? Once you've demonstrated commitment, courage, and that grows into a capability, now you've got the 4th C, confidence. That's what you get after a breakthrough, and that gives you the ability to start the cycle over again and commit at an even higher level. So the process just repeats itself. So the truth is, you're likely going to work as an employee at a day job until you've worked your way through the 4 C's enough times such that confidence builds atop confidence and you do have sufficient passive income so that you can live your daydream. Okay, so think big and then work your way through the 4 C's by acting big, okay? Back in episode 26, I told you that you own a multi-billion dollar asset. Multi-billion, that's your mind. All right, then in episode 33, I told you why you don't want to be a millionaire. I don't want you to be a millionaire. Why would you want to be a millionaire? Wouldn't you rather be wealthy? Well, why would you settle for being a mere millionaire when you own a multi-billion dollar asset already? Your mind has that multi-billion dollar potential. Hey, you have a life to live. You have a daydream to live. So, just get this money thing out of the way. It's really not a big deal. Just quit worrying about it. Just get this money thing taken care of and you can move ahead. It's just not a big deal. Check it off your list and move ahead. Not that you don't still have to think about it and keep up with it from time to time, but there's so much money flowing through the economy. Just build your little diverter and keep diverting more flow to yourself. Be a dreamer. I actually want you to be a dreamer. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a dreamer. He was a believer in the 4 C's, commitment, courage, capability, and then finally, confidence. Dr. Martin Luther King, he said, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. His dream translated into an all-inclusive purpose, and that inspired detailed plans and definite goals, total commitment. You have Margaret Thatcher's rise to prominence in Great Britain. Okay, that took remarkable courage to have the fortitude to forge ahead in a man's world from her election to Parliament and exhibiting leadership qualities there and beyond until she finally became England's first female prime minister 20 years later, okay? King and Thatcher, they were huge daydreamers that changed the entire world. I mean, if anyone can do that, well, then you sure can change your own world with passive income and buying rental doors or whatever to open up your daydream. I mean, my gosh, it took me commitment and courage to start this show, you know? 2 decades ago, my high school graduating class voted me the quietest, most shy student. And this isn't just some amorphous, fuzzy memory, okay? This was voted on by my classmates, and there's a photo of me as most quiet and shy in our yearbook for Coudersport, Pennsylvania High School, okay? So for a quiet person like me to do a talk show, I mean, how could I ever think I would find the courage to start this, you know, let alone some of these other things like iHeartRadio choosing Get Rich Education and my slack-jawed vocals as their investing show, okay? So, you know, be who you are becoming. Just start being who you want to become and be a dreamer. That's why GetRichEducation.com shows scenes that might be representative of your daydream, okay? So at some level, it does take that courage or take what feels like a leap of faith to buy a passive income generating turnkey property in Atlanta or Memphis when you've never been there before, even though you know that it makes sense, okay? Sometimes you get pulled back into scarcity because you have people in your peer group that think small and wouldn't do something like that. So then you try to justify inactivity in your mind, and you just kind of keep saying, oh, I'm just getting ready to get ready to get ready, okay? Investors often get stuck in this getting ready process. They lay things out, they plan, they tweak the plan, and then they try to figure out every angle before they make that leap of faith, okay? So commit to jump sometimes, okay? That moment of getting unstuck requires some courage, but courage is the key to increasing your capabilities and your confidence. Confidence builds upon itself. You have everything in you that you need to move ahead. You have everything in you. Spaceships don't come equipped with rear view mirrors, okay? What's holding you back? When you get a reputation as a doer, people are going to ask you how you did it. People are going to want to come to you for answers. Partners are going to want to collaborate with you on bigger deals, and that's going to breed even more confidence within you. So, hey, well, I'm kind of running long. I'm going to wind this down. I hope I've given you some new ways to think about your wealth. So surround yourself with the right people. Learn about the right things. And until next week, I want you to get concrete on exactly what your daydream is. Just like my wife and I with the Kona home and the papaya trees. Take a few minutes of quiet reflection after this show so you can start to get clear on that, okay? You are entirely up to you. Get solid on your daydream. Otherwise, any destination will do. And you'll be accountable when it's time to show that commitment and courage that leads to capability and confidence. Now go out there and don't quit your daydream.
You've been listening to Get Rich Education, telling you what the wealthy won't tell you about real estate and investing. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to visit iTunes and leave your comments.
Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of Get Rich Education, LLC exclusively.